What's up? I'm Gaby Wilson for MTV News, and I'm here with the internet. What's up, guys?
Hello.
That's good.
It's Sid, Steve Lacy, Chris Smith, Patrick Page II, and Matt Martians.
Ooh.
You guys are getting back together after like Ego Death came out, 2015, and you each had solo projects. Why did you guys want to get back into the studio together and make something new?
We never broke up. When we first started working on this album, we were all on different pages musically. So we were trying to make stuff, we were having fun making stuff, but it just wasn't it, you know what I mean? So we realized, because Steve was already working on a solo album, Patrick had already put out a solo EP. We were like, let's just, let's go do our things, and then after that, we'll get back to work.
Yeah, and what, did you guys have a conversation at some point when you decided to get back together?
No. It was just like, yo, I'm about to get a studio for us. No, matter of fact, because the first time we worked, I think, was in London. We had 2 weeks in London. We had a show, and then we did some press or something. And during those 2 weeks, we decided to get a studio just to vibe out, see what happens. And that's where we made like the first few instrumentals for the album.
What was that session like? Like, how did it go?
It was fun. It was chill. I think I came late because I had something. Oh yeah, I went to see my aunt or something. But yeah, when I got there, they had already like started vibing on the first track on the album actually. That's where we started that one.
Is that Roll? Or no? Okay. Yeah. So, album doesn't start with Roll.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Almost.
It's real early on though. Roll is early on.
Listen to your heart. Listen to your heart.
Well, Roll is the first single off this album, and it's dope. I'm so excited. Like, it's just very striking and very upbeat versus like the kind of more mellow vibe of Ego Death the last time that you guys all got together. Talk to me about how that song came together. Where were you guys?
Burbank.
We were in Burbank.
I read in the liner notes that you were in an Airbnb.
We wrote it in an Airbnb. We wrote the lyrics in an Airbnb.
Okay, set that scene
Agora
for me.
Hills. Yeah, we did half studio, half Airbnb. It was a beautiful house. Oh my God. There was a grape vineyard in the backyard.
They had grapes and figs and stuff.
Fig
and
trees.
Bunnies in the backyard.
There were bunnies. It was amazing. And I set up, like I have a portable studio that me and Matt invested in. I set it up in on the dining room table, basically. It's like an open concept, very Moroccan, bohemian decor in the house. I really love interior design. And set it up in like the dining room area. And we spent like 5 days there?
It was like 5 days.
Yeah, about 5 days.
Yeah, like I think it was like the last day or something. Because the first few days we didn't do anything but play laser tag.
Yeah. Yo, the laser tag was crazy.
Yeah, we played laser tag. Earl came through for a couple of days. Amine came through for a day. And we were just hanging out for the most part. And then like the last 2 days or something is when we really started like nailing down melodies and lyrics and stuff.
Is that typically how your writing and recording process goes? You kind of like vibe for a while, and then the last couple of whatever like segment of time you guys have, then you like pop out.
Yeah, we don't force anything.
I think it all varies.
You guys sample Sing Sing, which is like a beloved hip hop sample. How did that find its way onto the track?
It was like I have this whole folder that I got from another friend who shall remain nameless.
LOL.
And that was just one of the ones. Like sometimes, just go through like different drum loops, and I was like, oh, this is hard. And I just started playing bass over it, and then I was like, that was one of my main concerns too from the beginning. I was like, damn.
Yeah, he was like,
I was like, shit, we probably gonna
we
have to
good
clear
on
this.
this?
Like,
Are we gonna be able to clear
I was
it?
like,
Yeah.
yeah, all right.
Well, I love the video too. It's really exciting. What were initial conversations about that treatment like? Because it's pretty interesting. You start like not really seeing any of you, and then there's a reveal.
Did we even have a treatment? I don't think we even had a treatment.
We didn't have a technical treatment. I was inspired by the Jackson 5 Blame It on the Boogie video and how simple it was and how it really focused just on the band and the people in the song.
In September by Earth, Wind &
Yeah,
Fire.
so I think, and of course, like Jamiroquai is like a huge influence on this, but they didn't directly influence any imagery, but I just always loved how free they were in their videos and how like it was just about the music and him or the band. So a lot of the stuff, the blanked out faces was stuff that was added like last
The
second.
director's idea. That was the
Yeah,
director's idea.
so yeah.
Got it, because I wondered if it was intentional, because I remember, I think that like some of the first reactions to the video were surprised that Steve was the lead on the track, because it's like, oh, the longest time since the internet put out a track, and instead of it being like a Sid-led track, it's Steve. I didn't know if that was intentional.
It just happened. That's just what sounded better. He came up with that melody. So the initial like reference song version is just him going, "It's a little hot." I was like, listen to your heart. Yeah, sing that.
Translating.
Right. I heard you.
I would say I think it's cool that we can do that, to have songs that, you know, we can have songs where Patrick's rapping or singing, you know, and I think that's the beauty of our band, is like anybody could be that person on any given song. Now, most of the album is definitely Sid, but there's little glimmers of, you know, you got people, like I said, Patrick's rapping on the album, and he's never rapped on the internet album before, so.
Yeah, does everybody get to the mic on this album?
Matt does. Everybody but Chris, damn.
Why? Come on, we love loud.
He's doing more production on this album, though, for sure. He's handling a lot more production and writing on this album than he has before, so. I think we all just exploring new things and trying to, like, you know, definitely doing the solo albums is definitely giving us a lot more confidence to step out, you know, into those realms within the band, so, yeah.
Right, since doing solo projects of your own, how do you think that the dynamic shifted within your creative process as a band?
People are more sure of themselves when they submit ideas, opposed to being like, I don't know if this is gonna be good. Because when you put out a solo album and you get, you know, it's scary because you think it's gonna suck because you don't have your band to back you up. You know what I'm saying? You don't have the excuse of like, well, it's not just me. You know what I'm saying? But when it's you, it's like, if it's trash, you're trash. So it's like, you know, the fact I think we put out solo albums and they were, you know, received very well, I think it gave us some sort of confidence to be like, okay, maybe this idea isn't so crazy because it's worked before, so, yeah.
What are some specific examples for you guys? Like, Chris, was there a moment that you felt like, oh, maybe like 2 years ago I wouldn't have spoken up in this way, but...
No, yeah, I didn't speak up during the writing process of Ego Death.
Yeah.
I just did what I normally do and was like, sat back and was like, all right, well, that's your job.
And then how did that change for this one?
Well, you know, I mean, with that, with doing the solo project, it was just like, you know, I didn't ask nobody to help me write. So just started just shooting out for ideas, and whatever sticks, sticks. And you leave it at that, and if it don't stick, it don't stick. It's cool.
So it sounds like the creative process for making this album took you guys kind of like all over the place. It doesn't have roots in any one particular place. Talk to me a little bit about that creative process and how you like tie all those different strings together.
We were kind of traveling a lot in the beginning when we were working on it, and so, matter of fact, we made like 3 new songs in Australia, our last time in Australia. We were missing a vibe from the album, we didn't know what, but we booked a few days at this beautiful studio down there called Golden Retriever, and we just was kicking it and jamming. Yeah, we made 3 new songs there, but you know, it was just natural. Like we were traveling, but we had to work on the album because we knew we wanted it out around the summertime, just because it feels like that kind of vibe. Like, it's very
it's very
like
upbeat.
this.
I've only listened to like Come Over, La-Di-Da, and It Gets Better. But what I've been able to glean from like just those tracks is that it seems like it's going to be much more upbeat than maybe like something that we've heard from you guys in the recent past. Would you say that that's true for the rest of the album?
We think so.
Yeah.
I don't know if the world will agree, but for us it feels more energetic.
Tempo, definitely.
Yeah, intentionally we tried to like. That was Matt's main thing, was speeding up the tempos.
Why is that?
Because I would go to festivals and I would notice the certain tempos that casual fans would be more drawn to. Because I don't think it's necessarily compromising the sound. I think it's a certain tempo that you can hit that if somebody's walking by your stage, they hear that tempo, and if the beat's okay, they're a little more attracted to it than the normal BPMs. Like our other songs are, like you said, they're a lot more vibey, a lot more groovy. I say this album is a lot more, has a lot more attitude with tempo. I say those two things mix. So yeah, we just wanted to speed it up because we wanted our shows to have, you know, a lot more energy than they did, so.
Is that something that excites you about being able to perform too?
I think as a performer, you have to be able to perform as if no one's there, because it's your music. You have to enjoy it, you know? So we try to enjoy performing our music regardless. Just enjoy it with ourselves. We be in rehearsal like, eyes closed.
How would you guys describe the sound of this album in particular?
First thing that comes to my mind personally, I say funk.
Funk, yeah.
Yeah.
It is a little funkier. It's funkier than Ego Death for sure.
It's more mature. I think it's more mature than Ego Death. I'd say just, I wouldn't even say subject matter, but just all around, it just feels a lot more, you know, grown, you know.
What ways were you challenging yourselves on this album? I know that you've talked a little bit about like the funk sound and like bringing different things from the solo projects, but in what ways do you feel like you grew individually from this project?
I'd say no features. I think that's how we've grown. I think we didn't necessarily depend on features our last ever, but I think we would, to be safe, kind of sort of a safety net, get people that people were familiar from to draw, you know, to a band that we felt like people weren't that familiar with before. And I feel like with this album, the challenge was doing it ourselves. So I think that's the biggest challenge, was really just doing it ourselves and trusting that we didn't need extra people to really make people, you know, pay attention.
I mean, you have 5 solo artists.
Exactly. Yes. That's what we were going for.
Well, thank you guys so much for coming through. I can't wait to listen to the whole album.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for having us. Appreciate it.